Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is Dean Tenney, aka Series 7 Guru, coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas with our Tuesday night weekly live stream Q&A. We're trying to share with you content. That's our primary purpose of gathering on Tuesday nights, but also have some fun and fellowship as well. We like to start with some housekeeping and some detail. And so we like to start with debrief when we have it. Remember, every draw is different. But this somebody just passed the Series 7. So here's some Series 7 debrief if you're a Series 7 test taker. This test taker had 25 to 30 option questions. I say 20. Some people say 10, 15. Brian thinks it's less. I think it's more. But, it depends on the draw. But 20, I think, is a good expectation. Anyways, they were easy. This test taker said because they had their data dump sheet where they had their matrix down. 4 or 5 questions on options hedging, protective put, covered call. Lots of suitability questions. No surprise there. 6 to 8 questions on munis. That's on the low side. I would have expected more than that. Had one on a bond anticipation note. Is a cash advance. It gets an underwriting. You get that from your underwriter. And then when your underwriter raises the money, the municipality pays back that cash advance with interest. So that's called a ban. Earnings per share question, senior exploitation question, MSRB FINRA customer complaints. Remember, FINRA is 4, MSRB is 6. 2 margin questions. That sounds right. 4 or 5 on mutual funds. I would have expected more on mutual funds. 2 on current yield. What an investment pays you divided by what it costs you. 3 or 4. I'm not surprised on this on slobs over bliss. Where do we place orders in relationship to the current market price? The most important part of that on the exam is bliss. Buy limits and sell stops are below the market, and those will be adjusted for cash dividends unless the customer tells me differently. Shareholder equity, blue sky laws, 1 on blue sky, 1 on accredited investor, no surprise, 2 on hedge funds, 2 or 3 variable annuity questions. That seems a little light. 4 to 5 customer accounts, 2, 3 capital gains, 1 on accrued interest. Main accrued interest is paid by the buyer to the seller. And the Uniform Practice Code says corporates and munis settle T+2 and have 30-day months, and govies are goofy. T+1 actual calendar. I'm adding to the debrief. 1 on the X date, and then no surprise, a bunch of others you can't recall, which is typical. A lot of times you do the test, right? You do the data dump, and then you say, "My goodness, I'm done," right? So tell us what series exam you're taking. So when I'm answering questions, I'm not burning up a lot of time. Like, oh, hey, is this the 24? Is this the 7? Because the content is different for the different exams. So that would be helpful. Tell us where you're joining us from. I am going to be doing a podcast series on the SIE exam. The next episode is October 4th. We're going to record it live. So that should be interesting. And we're going to be doing equity security. So feel free to join us for that if you'd like. Let me get rid of that. Let's see. I'm teaching a 66 class. That's done. I guess I can get rid of that. My next class that I'm teaching for Kaplan is a SIE exam October 2nd through 4th and a Series 7 October 22nd through 24th. You can register for those Kaplan classes. Feel free to join me. Any Kaplan class or product, you get 15% off at checkout with the Guru 15 discount code. And Brian Lee, Test Geek Exam Prep LLC, gives our viewers a 20% discount with Guru 20. So we got discounts available if you need some paid supplements. Again, tell me what exam you're doing, followed by your questions. After we're done, the podcast, this is available as a podcast on Spotify. So if you want to listen to this as a replay or listen in the gym or in the car, if you've missed it, you can do so. In terms of using the YouTube channel, that's the best free supplement. I want you to be able to use the channel efficiently. The way to do it is find your series playlist. And if you want to binge, all the videos I have for that particular series will come up. They're in suggested watch order. And for many series, there's more than one playlist. But if you're looking for a particular topic, like this morning, somebody wants some help on market value on a short account, market value maintenance. And you could just put that in the channel search bar, and then 3, 4, 5, resources based on it, or spreads or whatever. So if you're trying to find a particular thing, use that channel search bar. We always have a coaching call. The coaching call is going to be, that's last week, but it'll be next week. And again, I just want to make sure I schedule it because I don't like floating around having these contingent liabilities. I owe Cynthia one. I allowed Dave to switch his. I'm probably not going to do that in future because I just got too much going on and it falls through the cracks. But at the end, we do a coaching call drawing. You can use that coaching call however you'd like. It's recorded. We share with others, but you can transfer it to someone else. You can share it. You can do whatever you'd like with it. That's up to you. All right, let's get started on content. Let's get started on content. Let me get rid of that. That's if you want to book some tutoring. There we go. All right, let's get started. Any tricks to remember dates, time frames as it relates to, I think you mean the MSRB, the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board. Well, I don't know if this is helpful, Alex, but there's not major differences. The major difference that I can think of is that customer complaints from FINRA are 4 and customer complaints under the MSRB are 6. So I don't think it's any different than the other minutia of FINRA in that regard. They publish A rules, administrative rules. They publish D rules, definitional rules. So you need to know the definition of, for example, a nominal quote. It's for informational purposes only, right? They publish G rules, general rules. And I don't think it's important to know the rule number, but G20 is the gift or gratuity rule. The maximum gift or gratuity is the exact same as FINRA's. The maximum gift or gratuity that an employee of one member firm can give the employee of another member firm is $100. I would know G37, G38. That's that campaign contribution of $250. You have to be eligible to vote. So I don't think that dates and time frames as it relates to the MSRB versus FINRA is material to your success on the Series 7. So for what that's worth. But I don't have any tricks. Hello from New York. You're all right. I taught last week. Kaplan's been kind of stuck. And I told Kaplan, I said, boy, you can't count on me as much as you're counting on me this month. They asked me to cover that 66, and then they asked me to cover 65, which I'm presently covering. And I'm like, I feel like I'm the, substitute teacher. So, but we had a good class last week. We got a good class this week. So, I like teaching. So, but I don't like teaching that much. Hi from Washington State. You're welcome. I'm committed to your success. Be patient with me though. I mean, I am running into infrastructure problems where, the channel has crossed 2.5 million views, and we're coming up on 25,000 subscribers. And, I'm trying to think of a tactful way to remember the channel is self-service, which means, I can't possibly respond to emails where people ask me, in an email for a response that would require me 30 minutes to answer. So the best way is to just put it in the channel comment or show up on a Tuesday. That's the best way to do it. Also, I don't know the tactful way to do this, but don't leave me voicemails on the phone. That's this again. I get 50 of them. I can't possibly return them. The best way to do it is by email. So if you're trying to reach me, the best way to do so is email. And let me put that up there for her. There's my email, and that's the best way. If outside of the self-service free channel, you're trying to get a hold of me, that's the best way to do so. Let me get rid of that. Boom. Let's see. I like your picture, Carla. Evening. Good evening. I like that. That looks like a spirit-filled person. Thank you for helping through the 7, and now I've completed 63 yesterday. All right, Robin, victorious test taker in the house. I don't know why you would not take my word for things that are on the exam, but if for some reason you have trust issues and you think that perhaps a victorious test taker could confirm something for you, Robin's here, and if you're taking a 63, If you're nice, I'm sure in chat she might, help you out. Remember, every draw is different. Leah, Wisconsin. All right. Kaplan used to be headquartered in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I don't know how many people are still there, but always nice people. Working on both the SIE and the 7. My license overlapped, so I'm having to get relicensed. Well, there you go. That happens, and sometimes I think there's additional pressure. I had a guy about 2 months ago, and he was getting tutoring. He certainly didn't need it. I mean, it was an insurance policy, but he had been a broker for many years in the early aughts. I don't know. And long story short, he said, Dean, man, if I don't pass, it's going to be really embarrassing. I said, yeah, people know you've done it once. They think you should be able to do it again. All right. There you go, Dragon Slayer. So Nathan Slade is Series 7 Dragon, followed up. I guess he hasn't done the 66 yet. Any tips? No, rinse and repeat. If you're a victorious test taker, I would imagine, Nathan, what is that, 2-0? I imagine you passed your SIE. Now you passed your 7. I actually think what happens at the end of your testing journey, for most people, that 66 is the last leg of their testing journey. And you're probably not going to believe this, Nathan, but I've had people who go, oh, my God, what am I going to do now? Well, you're supposed to go into production or use your registrations. But, once you get in the study rhythm, once it's over, it's kind of weird. You're going to be going, what? I don't have to read the book. I don't have to do quizzes. I don't have to do any of this stuff. Carla's taking a Series 7. All right. Well, Benita, if you're working on the SIE, I have lots of SIE content. I'm so excited how many people now we're helping on the channel through their entire journey, through the entire matriculation, right? I always say, Benita, I come into your life for a reason and a season. The reason are to pass the exam, starting with the SIE, and the season is how long that takes you. Whether it's 6 months or 8 months, and I don't take it personal when the season is over. I don't take it personal when Nathan says, Dean, I passed my 66, and I'm out. People do unsubscribe. I get it. Some people still stay subscribed, but that's what's ahead of you. And Benita, what I would want to tell you about the SIE is really make sure you overlearn it, because that, you want to come out of the gate strong, 1-0, going into the 7 with hopefully some base. You don't want to get wobbly on the SIE and just barely pass it, or start out 0-1. So really make a major commitment that you're going to get that SIE done. You're going to pass that and then go strong into that second leg, which is either a Series 6 or a Series 7. In both cases, by the way, it'll pay huge, huge dividends for you. And as I told you, I have 3 playlists for the SIE. I have the lectures, playlist number 1. I have playlist number 2 is practice tests and practice questions from various vendors on the SIE. You can watch me do the SIE practice exam from FINRA. I have a doppelganger version of it where I kept the answer sets but changed the answers. And then the third one I'm working on now, which is that podcast series. And I originally thought I would do 4 or 5 episodes, but I'm going to do however many. So right now I have scheduled Equity Securities episode 2, Debt Securities episode 3, Options episode 4, and Mutual Funds episode 5. Columbus, Ohio. Series 66, Tampa, Florida. Boy, Jordan, Florida I can't handle hot and sticky. People tell me, Dean, what about Vegas? I go, well, we hear it's not sticky. It's 100 plus, but it's dry. 65 Miami. I think 65. That's a tough one. That's the one I'm teaching today. We just got done, and boy, that's a beast. I think that 65. I think can be the hardest test for a lot of folks because it's just a lot of stuff, and depending on how much background you have, it can be very different. Virginia Beach, Virginia. I've been there. I spent a lot of time in North Fort, Virginia when I was in the Marine Corps. There's a big Navy base there. Series 10 from Texas. All right, Juan. Anything live on Series 7 before 10-6? Carla, I do have a group explication video coming where some ladies form a tutoring syndicate, and they all went in together, and they've been, buying tutoring sessions, and they asked if they all could do a practice final together. I don't know what this is going to turn out as, but I said yes. And so I think we're doing that next Saturday, and people seem to like those explications. So That is certainly coming. All right, General Securities Principal Gustavo, I love it. Austin, Texas. We have, I don't know who's Gustavo. If you follow us on our Reddit, we have sister communities on Reddit. We have our Series 7, that is a Reddit community for SIE and Series 7 test takers. We have our Series 66. That's for NASA exam takers, 63, 65, 66. We have our Series 24. That's for 9, 10s, and 24s. I really love the 24 Reddit, Gustavo, because it's more peers over there. And we have a lot of, people that are posting there about, simpatico. The other reason I like it, Gustavo, is you can remain anonymous. And so every once in a while, somebody in that Reddit for Series 24s will post something with, oh, you probably want to remove that post. Can I do QID, Leah, on Series 7? I certainly can. I'll try you, if you want to stick around when we, after the drawing, I'll try and pull up the Kaplan Q Bank live to do it. If I can't do that, then I will do it in a video format and post it on the channel. But if you want to stick around, I've written that down. I'll try and bring up the Q Bank after the drawing and do that for you. I help you. I'm agnostic about study efforts or I study test prep vendors. I'll help you whether you got Pass Perfect or, training consultants or STC. But if you are using Kaplan materials as either your primary study or as a supplement, it's easier for me to help you because I can pull up the QID and see what you're looking at. And I have permission from Kaplan to share that content with you and others. And so it's just easier when it's Kaplan. So we had somebody on the 24 Reddit asked for help on a QID, but they gave me a QID for the 20, what I thought was a 24 question and couldn't find it. And they told me, oh, it's Series 10. I go, oh, okay, now we found it. I think there's a little bit of a barbell one on the Series 10. So what I mean by barbell is there is recognition, a lot of recognition, and then there's judgment, and there's nothing really in between, right? I'm joking, but there is a lot of judgment. There's more recognition than judgment, but they're there. There's very, very little practical application. I wish there were more, like, market value maintenance is certainly there, debit by 0.75, market value at maintenance short, credit by 1.3, that's certainly there. The stupid but testable thing about having a new margin account and either paying in full or $2,000 is definitely there. But I wish there were more of that. But it's mainly recognition, babysitting sevens, and judgment. I've seen a few people not make it already in the field. Well, that's true. It's no joke. Yeah, you got to work. I mean, people give me Zelda, our biggest fan. They say, oh, you tell so many stories, and I've been working my butt off. I got no stories. I got no clients. I go, well, listen, the learning curve in our business is atrocious. So you have to make a huge sweat equity investment at the front end. I don't know. I haven't been a practitioner in a while, but when I was a baby broker, your point, that's no joke. I mean, building a book of business is serious work. I think people underestimate, not everybody who's listening and following us is going into production. You might be a support person, but for those of you who are going into production, I think people think it's a little more exotic than it is in the beginning, because in the beginning, you got to go find customers, right? So, it's a little more sales oriented than maybe some people are expecting. I certainly can explain the put feature of a bond. So let's start by talking about a call feature. So a call feature is advantageous to the issuer in a declining interest rate environment. So, I say, hey, this bond seems to pay me a little more than other bonds I've been looking at. And I say, well, that's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. There's a reason for that. And the reason for that is that this bond is callable. It's callable in 5 years at 105. So you do have some call protection. They won't call it away from you for at least 5 years. And if they do, they'll give you 105. I think that's kind of a prepayment penalty. And that's called call protection. Call protection consists of two things, time and price. And call risk is associated with a declining interest rate environment. And so if you want to eliminate call risk, you can buy zero coupon bonds, which are not callable, and you can buy treasury bonds, which are non-callable. But usually bonds have a call feature. Not all bonds have a put feature. You say, Dean, this has a higher price and a lower yield than other bonds I've been looking at. I said, well, I'm not surprised. This has a nifty thing to it. This has a put provision. This is really a nifty thing to be able to do, to put the bond back to the issuer. And this is a pretty nifty thing to be able to do in a rising interest rate environment. So if your bond pays 4% and there's a put provision, and that put provision is exercisable in 5 years, let's say, and brand new bonds of similar credit quality maturity pay 7, you're going to put it back to the issuer and get a new bond. So put provisions are advantageous to the investor, the bondholder, in a rising interest rate environment. And that put provision can either come from the issuer, or maybe I work the bond desk at Goldman Sachs. And I say, man, maybe I'll add a put provision in these bonds to make them easier to sell. And so if I decide to add that put provision at Goldman Sachs, I then would have to go get a new QSIP to distinguish the bonds that have no put provision versus the bonds that do have the put provision. So that put provision can either come from the issuer, or a trading desk, a bond desk may add that to make the bonds more attractive and easier to sell. I don't think put features are as testable as call features. So for a mutual fund, how do bonds affect the NAV? Well, again, bond mutual funds are actually more dangerous than individual bonds. So if we buy individual bonds and interest rates go up, which they've been doing, I say, well, what do we care? Because we're holding the bonds to maturity. Yes, every quarter you get a statement, and if interest rates have been rising, it's going to show that the bonds are down in price. But, we're not selling the bonds. Our portfolio is immune from fluctuating interest rates. And it's immune because we're not going to participate in the secondary market. We're just going to hold them to maturity. Now, in a bond fund, if people haven't sold that correctly, remember this, very testable, there's an inverse relationship of bond prices and interest rates. And as we, I guess we know or should know, interest rates have been rising. And so that means the bonds within the bond mutual fund have been declining, which means the NAV is going down. So when interest rates go up, that affects a bond fund's NAV because it goes down. Now, the dangerous part is maybe people weren't sold that mutual fund correctly as a long-term investment. And now they start redeeming, right? Because in the bond fund, you don't have the choice to hold it to maturity. And now our bond fund manager might actually have to sell bonds to meet redemption requests. So the bond fund can actually be more dangerous than the individual bonds. I'm not saying don't buy a bond fund because you get diversification, you get professional management, but it is something you should know. By the way, that risk, interest rate risk in the bond fund, cannot be diversified away. You can diversify away credit risk by diversification, but you can't diversify or mitigate interest rate risk through diversification because it doesn't matter what fixed income investment vehicle you have. If interest rates are going up, it's going down. So I hope that was helpful on those two questions. That's what we're here for. I like that. That was some good content questions. I had a question where it asked, a customer's on vacation, he has $500,000 in cash. I hope you mean in the account. I hope he's not like carrying a suitcase with 500 in cash in it, and tells the FA to purchase a blue chip stock. Well, a blue chip in poker is the most expensive chip. And a blue chip stock is a stock that has a proven track record in good times and bad. Blue chip is certainly not enough. You can't accept an order for a blue chip. You got to remember, very testable, you got to have the 3 A's. If I don't have discretionary authority on your account, I need action. We got the action. We need the amount. We got the amount, 500, but we don't have the security. That's a discretionary order, and it is not acceptable. I said, listen, I don't have discretionary authority. Exxon is a blue chip. So why don't we buy you 500,000 shares worth of Exxon? He said, okay, let's do it. That's fine. Remember, if I have discretionary authority, then I can make a decision about those 3 A's. I can make a decision about action, asset, amount. Time and price does not require trading authorization. Easiest way to remember criminal and civil penalties for the SEC and the U.S. Uniform Securities Act, Jordan. I'm kind of different. I tell people not to worry about the criminal penalty on the SEC because you're taking an exam from the state administrator, right? And so that's the one I would focus on. And on the Uniform Securities Act, the template, you're not getting tested on a particular state, you're getting tested on template. It's 5,000 for the civil, and it's 3 years in state prison. And federal is 5, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. Yeah, my Series 6, and I have them for every series. So whatever series you're taking, I have your series and 60-minute videos. They're very popular. You're certainly not going to lose the information. Yeah, you learn the information in 60 minutes, but I like it for the night before, morning of, or both, to get you into flow. Because it's not a natural circadian rhythm to wake up and go, okay, Series 6, here I come. So I'm glad you found it helpful. You're using Kaplan. Any recommendations? I don't know. I mean, other videos. I have a Series 6 playlist. I told you I'm agnostic in social media. There's a Knopman Series 6 exam you can take. You can hit pause and hit play and see how you do. There's a Kaplan Series 6 practice exam there. There's a Test Geek practice exam there. I don't think on Series 6 I have 2 playlists. I think I have the one. And yeah, there's some videos there for you. So I recommend that. If you're asking about videos, those would be the videos. Password protected site, Wendy, is for a private placement, right? So if I'm doing a Reg D offering, let's say I'm doing 506C. And remember, if I'm doing a Reg D 506C offering, a private placement, I can only offer that to accredited investors. And so what we do is we have what's called a data room. A data room is where I'm going to put the private placement memorandum, the due diligence materials. And that data room is going to be password protected, because I'm not going to give you the password until you acknowledge that indeed you are worthy. I'm joking. You're accredited. And at that point, we give you the password, and then you get into that and you can see that. Now, I don't know if that's in the context you're asking, but every site where you're accessing client information, that's what you're asking. It should be password protected. And NASA has a survey on what's called cybersecurity. And as part of that, you're supposed to make sure that the site that you're allowing customers access to, this is where their stuff is, right? Where they can trade and see their account, that too has authentication. So that's not about password, but password could be part of the process of what we call authentication. And, there's good authentication. The standard for most firms nowadays is dual authentication, where, you get a code that comes to your phone, and then you put that in there. That's biometrics is pretty strong. That's like an iris or your fingerprint, something like that. So I'm not sure. In the context of sales literature, it would be for deals, offerings where the people who are going to invite are going to be restricted. And in that case, we're going to have that in a data room, which would be password protected, and you don't get in to those documents until you do whatever that front end is in terms of data gathering. Well, that is the biggest sin you can make, is omissions of material facts. A material fact is something that would alter investment decision. Well, I don't think you're going to get asked the penalties for an omission of material fact. But, you don't listen. In our business, to go to jail, you have to try really, really hard. And you're not going to jail for omission of a material fact. They might revoke your registration. If you end up in jail in the securities industry, about the only way you can end up in jail. I mean, I told you I'm prejudicial, Wendy. Somebody told me they're in jail and they didn't do anything wrong and they're a securities professional. I'm going to say I just find that hard to believe, because it's really hard to end up here. The number one thing that will land you in jail is making a fraudulent distribution of securities to the public. That's what's going to do now. So if part of the omission of the material fact is a willful deceit, in other words, you intentionally omitted the material fact, you had the intent to defraud somebody, you're going to jail. But it's not the omission of the material fact, it's the fraud. So again, I would like to see the context on that. But I haven't anybody on debrief tell me they've seen a question about, is an omission of material fact civil or criminal? As a test taker, I'd probably go with the biggest penalty available in the answer set to me. Go to jail and make new friends. Right? Yeah, you got to have all three. You got to have them. I like it. I like, spirit-filled people. Even if you're not spirit-filled, I mean, I wish some people, Carla, would just pretend they are. So, I was helping somebody and he hated this stuff and, he has to do it. He's not somebody who wants to be in our business. And I said, listen, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hard time here because it's hard for your brain to process this information and study and learn if every time you come to it, all you're doing is thinking about how much you don't want to do it. So, why don't you try and, fake it to yourself? Why don't you pretend you like it? And if you're pretending you like it, maybe that alone could be helpful. Now, maybe your brain won't shut down so quickly on this information. There you go. I love it. Love it. Dina. So yeah, there we go. Is that going to be the last leg of your testing journey? Is that going to be the completion of what I call your test taking registration hat trick? A hat trick is 3 successes in a row, right? So SIE, Series 7, 66, trifecta, the hat trick. Now, I know some of you, oh my goodness, some of you have to go 4, right? You got to go SIE, 63, 65, SIE 6, 63, 65, 4. Wow. I had somebody the other day, they had to go get the 9, 10 after this. So, but for most of us, our testing journey is going to be 3 legs of our testing journey. Yep, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't take tests seriously. I mean, this is not, by the way, when you don't pass, some of you who have real accountability partners, I consider myself, Robin, to be a fake accountability partner. If you need somebody to try and hold you accountable, I'm available. But anyways, real accountability partners, people can hire and fire you. You want to have the right attitude because if you miss the mark, and you didn't take the test seriously, it's kind of hard for somebody to go to bat for you. I mean, if backstage, I want to go to bat for you would be helpful if I had some good things to say about how hard you worked and how seriously you took it and, how you're going to get it next time. So, yeah, I think, Robin, that happens. And I think it happens, a hubris, I call it. The Greeks call it hubris. People, pride goeth before the fall. And yeah, you want to make sure 63, you want to make sure you do all the practice, drilling, rehearsing you can in terms of practice questions, right? There you go. So we'll be with you in spirit. We'll be with you in spirit. I hate those scores, Carla, man. That's not knowledge deficit, man. Those scores really hurt. I don't want to put additional pressure on you, but that's not that you don't know it. That's some other variable. I mean, that shows you did the work. By the way, that's why most firms will send you back down there again because they know you did the work. There you go. Overline it for sure. What I say, Benita, what you might want to do on the SIE, and this goes for everybody on every exam, you might want, if it's a FINRA, it's called a content outline. If it's a NASA, it's called test specifications. And what I think you should do is print that PDF and always have it next to you in every study session. And what you want to do is be able to do an intellectual inventory and put a plus, 0, minus next to each item. And overlaying means what I want you above par. So plus means you feel that you are above par and it's passing as the par. And then 0 means you're at par. Minus means you think you're below par, below passing in that particular topic on that PDF. And you want to bring everything to above par. So that's what I mean by overlearning. So if you're below par, start there, bring those above par, bring your par above par. And then remember, don't forget the stuff you're above par to can revisit because, you can, if you don't revisit the stuff you're above par on, it'll slip. It will slip. I don't know, Luis, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The 10 is such a slog. It is really a slog. So I think the way I would start off, as much as I hate to say this, is I think I would read the book cover to cover in as close to one setting as possible, just to kind of get a handle on what the whole thing looks like cover to cover, right? So, whether using Kaplan or STC or, whoever, I just grab that book and I would read it. And, usually within the book, they have like, topic alerts or quizzes or whatever. And then I think I would start quizzing on the various subject areas, setting myself up for a practice exam at some point, depending on my test date. About 7-10 days out, we need to get a mark. You're not doing practice tests to learn. You're doing practice tests to, find out where you're weak so you can do remediation. If you are using Kaplan, Kaplan has a wonderful feature called Performance Tracker, where you can actually see what areas you're below par in and target them specifically to improve. Lalani, all right, woohoo. All right. Well, thank you so much. I mean, I don't think so. But, we work hard. We do a good job. We've helped thousands and thousands of people pass them, make their mark, which is what it's all about. When I hired new people, I don't hire and fire anymore, but when I hired new instructors, sometimes they would say to me, well, how important is it people pass their exams? I said, well, that is very important. I mean, that's the number one thing, right? I mean, that's as they say in Latin, sine qua non. It's the essence of what we're trying to do, right? So thank you. Along the way, we helped a lot of people. Can we do that? Not tonight. We can't, Lalani, do practice questions in the context of live stream. The live stream is for everybody for every exam. But if you'd like, in the drawing, if you win the drawing, a lot of people win the coaching call, do like to do their practice questions, and that's more and more than happy to do that. So if you win the coaching call and you want me to queue up a Kaplan 66 practice questions, I am more than happy to do that. Or bring a question and put it in the chat, and I'm more than happy to do it that way as well. But that would be a practice question, not practice questions. Taking the 65. The 65 is such a bear. Third try on 66. I didn't pass 2 points. Your opinion? I like it. I do. I have a playlist for the 65. You're going to see that there's a lot of overlap. So, I've had people literally miss the 66, and I sometimes recommend, I say, listen, if you have to wait 6 months, a 63, 65 is the equivalent of a 66. And if you missed it by 2 points, that means you have enough base knowledge. I would just go take the 63, 65. Maybe you fine tune a little bit, but it's not going to be anything new to you. And I've had people do that, and they're back in business. So I do have a playlist for both the 63 and 65. There's 2 playlists for the 65. There's lectures, and then there's another playlist that just has practice tests and practice questions. The Federal Retirement Authority, what the heck? Well, thanks for joining us from Facebook. We broadcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and I guess now it's called X instead of Twitter. Our primary platform is YouTube. But thanks for joining us from Facebook. You're welcome for the help. Mondays, you're getting 80s and 90s on laws and regs. Woo! How to retain the rest. I'm with you. It's tough. So that's why you got to kind of time that so you're peaking away. With a score like that, how are you doing on the investment side? I didn't see a score here on the investment side. But you should give yourself permission not to wear yourself out before Monday, right? So, on the laws and regs, maybe you take a break tomorrow on that and let that lay fallow in your brain and refresh and reset your brain on that kind of stuff and hit that again on Thursday and see if you're still in that 80-90 range. I would like to know how you're doing on investments, because that's the other half of the 65. So, and that would have something to do with what I would recommend as well. Woohoo, Laura. All right. Kudos. Victoria's test taker in the house. You're taking a Series 6. Laura is a Victoria's Series 6 test taker, and feel free to ask her about that. Well, Jordan, I was teaching class today, and I'll tell you what I told them and what I tell people. This is true of NASA exams in general. 65, 66. So, Jordan, I think of it as kind of like a cast of characters in a play. And if you go to a theater to watch a play, they give you a playbill. And that playbill tells you, who the cast of characters is. It tells you about the various acts and scenes within the play that you're going to be watching. And, in these NASA exams, I think it's really important that you are clear about the cast members. The cast members are investment advisors, investment advisor reps, broker dealers, agents of broker dealers, and the most important cast member is the administrator. And so I always say for every exam, RTFQ, read the full question, read the full answer set. What you're trying to do as a test taker on NASA exams is be able to read the question and know what the question is about. So read once for context. Now I break it down by, okay, this is a question about a broker dealer. This is a question about investment advisor. If it's investment advisor, you say, ooh. So now what I got to do is figure out, is this a federally covered investment advisor or not? Because, the answers could be different, right? Is this an investment advisor rep? Oh, it's about a rep. Is this a rep who works for a federally covered advisor or not? Because the answers would be different. Is this a question about an agent of a broker dealer? So that's one thing I would say is try and make sure you really are comfortable with the context of the question and what the question is about. I can't tell you how many times I know people don't like the tough love, but somebody will have a wrong answer to a question they thought they were asked. And I, just recently said that wasn't a question about the issuer. That was a question about the agent of the broker dealer. You gave me a right answer about an issuer, but the question wasn't about the issuer. Please don't bring extra stuff into questions. People who are sometimes outsmart themselves. They use their own brain power against themselves. This guy, he gave me some rationale, and I thought, man, that is incredible brain power. Where is any of that in this question? There's none of that in this question. I mean, he just created some alternate universe where there was things he thought he was being asked about that weren't there. So don't bring that. And then the other thing is now to be able to read the answer set and kind of understand what answers are being offered to you. And I had somebody tease me. They said, Dean, I'm halfway there. I actually know what I'm being asked, but I'm still struggling with the answers that are offered to me. Right. So that's what I would say when they're very wordy. There's also, Jordan, what I call pivot words. So in class today, we were going over pivot words like material fact, like solicited versus unsolicited, like incidental, like isolated, like pattern. So that's the other thing, Jordan, on those wordy questions, be looking for those pivot words, the words that are important. Because not all the word salad is important. Some of the words are more important than others. So go through there. I hate that you can't highlight their screen because they'll get mad at you. But, you want to look at that and say, okay, what do I think are the pivot words here that this question turns on? Here's one of my all-time favorites we were doing today, unregistered, non-exempt. That is loaded, man. So unregistered, I go, okay, that means this security wasn't registered with the state administrator through a coordination or qualification. And then non-exempt means it's not a government security. It's not a municipal security. It's not, a charitable organization. And so that is a real challenge. Very testable. The unit investment trust question, if you get it, the test question, how are they different? Unit investment trust, unlike mutual funds, are passively managed. In a UIT, nobody is buying and selling securities. So the assets are professionally selected. What you're buying is a proportion ownership in a fixed portfolio of securities. And that is not what you're buying when you buy a mutual fund. You're buying shares in a mutual fund. Here, you're not buying shares, you're buying units. And, it's very popular for like muni bonds. I say these muni bonds have been professionally selected, but they're not actively managed. So, you don't like one of these bonds, don't buy this thing. As these bonds pay tax-free income, it'll be passed through to you as a UIT holder. As the bonds mature, that too will be passed through. So if you get it, it's passive management. That's the testable distinction versus a mutual one, which is active management, right? And that passive manage that fixed portfolio. And that typically means the cost structure is lower. True or false? A repurchase agreement is a guarantee against loss. Well, it depends who the repo is with. If that is a repo with a financial institution and the Federal Reserve Board, the answer is no. But, if that is a repo on a non-exempt security, the answer is yes. So I would need more context, Evan, in terms of that. that could or could not be a violation, guarantee against loss, depending on who the repo, who the transaction is with. So in the context of not being a violation, if I'm a bank and I want to borrow money from the Fed, that's called the discount window. And if I go to the discount window, the Fed is going to be asking me for collateral. And what I'm going to give them is treasury bonds. They're going to give me some money overnight. And then tomorrow we're going to reverse that transaction. I'm going to give the Fed back its money, a little extra, and they're going to give me back the treasury bonds. In that context, it's not a violation. If this is just a rep that says, hey, Evan, I'll agree to repurchase these securities, and that way you won't lose any money, I'm going to hold you harmless, and that most certainly is a violation. I would tell you that the two nasty words we should never be using in the securities industry are the word guarantee and the word approve. Those are just words we shouldn't be using. You want to hear the word guarantee, you should talk to a banker about a banking product or an insurance agent about an insurance product, because there is no guarantees. Yeah, they're not as liquid, remember, because the fixed portfolio is going to be different than a mutual fund. If you want to stick around, I told you I got 2 QIDs, Wendy. So if after we do the drawing, I'm more than happy to see if Dean is technically competent to bring up the Kaplan Q Bank in a live stream. I'm not sure I am, but if I don't, I will still do it for you, and I will put it on the channel for you as a video exploitation. So you got 2 there, and that's 66. Boom. Okay, so ladies, if like I said, we'll try that at the end of the live stream. Let's see. Well, Stephanie, please listen very carefully. I love Brandon Witt. I think he's very good in terms of narrative discussions of this stuff. My only gripe with Achievable is I do not think that their Q Bank is strongly correlated to the actual exam. Yeah, well, that's the point, right? Easy is not a good thing. So, Stephanie, let me tell you, this is anecdotal, but I had somebody got frustrated with Kaplan. I get it. Every day is not a good day. And they were so frustrated that she went and bought Achievable, and she was so excited. She called me. She said, Dean, my scores went up. I'm now getting in the 80s. And I said, well, listen, that may or may not be a good thing. I mean, I'm glad you're feeling good about yourself, and confidence is always important. Well, would you do me a favor? I know you're probably not coming back to do Kaplan, but Kaplan, there is a correlation. So, I mean, the sign that you're not doing well in Kaplan is a red flag, and you don't avoid it by buying Achievable. I said, so do me a favor, do Brian's Test Geek exam, because that has very strong correlation. And again, she dropped back to kind of where the Kaplan score was, and then she missed her mark. So my only red flag, I don't think it matters on the SIE. If it's your primary study material for the 7, I'm leery of counting on the practice test scores you get. So I would strongly recommend maybe getting a Kaplan Q Bank. I would supplement Achievable. Now, if you're using Achievable as a supplement, that's fine. I mean, I have no issue with that. And, if you're going to do those questions. My other issue is I think there's a little bit of an Achievable cult that I'm not a member of. And what I mean about the Achievable cult is kind of like a network marketing thing where everybody's offering people coupons. I have no problem with that, except, there seems to be people who are just, to me, kind of too much in love with it. So, that's what I would say. Again, I don't think it matters on the SIE. I think it matters in terms of it's your primary study material and then relying on the practice test scores. Emily, I am seeing you're coming from Facebook. Welcome. Good looking family there, it looks like. What I do is I go through the chat. So if you're down there in the chat, it may take me a minute or two to get to you, but I do read all the chats and the order I'm receiving. I have been trying a different thing. I'm going to try something here, Wendy. I'm going to star you. And let's see. What I should be able to do is bring up the stars at the end of the live stream. So if I wanted, I could I think I can create like a subset of questions. But like I say, Brandon's wonderful. Brandon has His YouTube channel is called Basic Wisdom, and he has a lot of good YouTube videos there for you as well. Yeah, well, I don't think that's Vassal. I don't think it's, it's legit. It's legit to be more worried. I mean, I don't want to add additional fear to that, but there you go. Love it. I love stories of redemption, Ryan. And we have so many successful people in our business who have suffered the initial misfortune of not making their mark. So again, I love stories like that. By the way, it's a leading indicator of your future success in our business. My best guy, Ryan, people invest with you because they like you and they trust you, not because you can pass tests. And one of my best brokers, a guy named Troy, and he used to go out to people and say, if anybody knows this stuff, it's me. And my God, I had to take these damn tests 5 times. We don't want you to have to take the test 5 times. Passing the first time is always better. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I do think, Juan, that Kaplan is sufficient, but I would tell you on 9s and 10s, nobody loves their test prep vendor that I found. People, every once in a while we get people who hate Pass Perfect, and we get people who hate Kaplan and they hate STC. I think it's sufficient. You've got to do all your questions and stuff, but if you want to supplement, I know that when some people don't have the resources, but if you have the resources, I don't think you should be monogamous with your study effort. I mean, if you have the resources and you want to get additional resources, whether it's Achievable or STC or, Pass Perfect, by all means, I would suggest investing the money. Yeah, there you go. You out of here? All right, Robin. We're almost getting to the drawing. Yeah, Jose, the channel is free. Is it you, Jose, who's been asking me on every platform, can you do a video with some questions from section 3? I think I said, it'd be a while. I mean, I can, you've been persistent enough. I'll try and check it out and see if I can come up with section 3, maybe a practice exam or something. When you're retesting, let me know your retesting date, Jose. I haven't used Achievable, John, for 66. I mean, maybe somebody in the queue has. I agree with you. Every vendor has pros and cons, but again, I take exception. No surprise. Dean is, think Kaplan's the best, but, the other day, Ken was like, oh, STC's got the closest questions. And I said, well, no surprise. I disagree with you. Kaplan's got the best question, right? My question's your question, so. But having more than one vendor is helpful in that regard, right? Because then you can decide. When you're using more than one vendor, I would say what you want to do is use it for confirmation. So I had somebody today and they had like 3 different study vendors. I said, well, I talk about it. The other vendor talks about it. That's confirmation. It's there. If somebody talks about it, somebody else doesn't, well, maybe that's just a rant or something. Well, thank you. Can you mean an IAR? I don't know what you mean, can IRA. I don't think you mean an individual retirement account. I think you mean, can an investment advisor representative provide volunteer services to a registered investment firm? I think you can provide volunteer services, but not to a firm that isn't yours, right? Because that looks like a way around this idea of working for somebody else. I don't think it's a testable scenario, but I wouldn't let you do that. If you asked me, you worked for me and you said, Dean, can I volunteer at some other investment advisory firm? I'd say no. It could be a problem, is a problem, never be a problem. If I say no, it'll never be a problem. They must be sold with an official statement. Well, Logan, it doesn't have to be an official statement, but that is the prospectus-like document for that. But if it's not an official statement, it could be some other disclosure document. But they most certainly need a disclosure document. Does this mean LGIPs? That's local government investment pool. That is a muni kind of version of a money market fund where cities and counties pool their cash so they can get at least a little bit of return on their money. This is the money they're using to pay teachers and firefighters and policemen, things like that. By the way, remember, MSRB says it's a municipal security. It's a municipal security. So if the MSRB says a 529 and LGIP and Enable is a municipal security, it most certainly is. Municipal bonds are sold with an official statement. So those others would either be an official statement or some other disclosure document. I'm not sure I understand, Leah, the question about a fund of funds versus a value fund. A value fund buys value stocks, individual securities. A fund of funds buy other mutual funds, right? So a fund of fund is a portfolio of other mutual funds. A value fund is a fund that has value stocks with, high dividends, trading at close to book value, that kind of thing. No, not on the 7. The trading alts on the 24, you should know them, but on 7, you just need to know 7, 13, and 20. 7%, 13%, 20%. 7% halt is 15 minutes. 13% is 15 minutes, and 20% is halt for the rest of the day. Yeah, Jose, yeah. You're going to do well in the business. October 25th. I'll make a note of that, Jose. I mean, just based on your persistence, maybe I'll try and get something up for you. Or maybe, Jose, maybe I'll just award you a scholarship for 30 minutes and you and I can load up some questions or something. We'll figure it out. Yeah, well, I don't think, if you don't trust me, then you shouldn't be working with me, certainly, right? I mean, you got to have trust in whoever your guru is going to be, because I always like it when some people do trust me. I had a guy at Merrill Lynch. He was working very hard. I mean, he's working so hard, he deserves to get answers to his questions. But I kind of was telling him, I said, listen, there's diminishing returns here. I mean, I don't mind answering your questions because you worked hard. And I said, but I think there's more target rich environments for you than this. And he said, well, you don't think I should spend more time on this? And I said, I don't. And I was shocked when he said, okay, well, then I won't. I said, woo. So, hey, somebody who listens. Well, listen to Jordan. I was just doing a tutoring session for a Fidelity guy. He tells me Fidelity's doesn't even offer Coverdale's anymore. Why would you? The only test question is about contrasting a Coverdale with a 529. And in that contrasting point, very testable, 529 wins. Hands down, the 529 is always going to be a more suitable recommendation. Why? Well, how much college education, Jordan, can you buy for $2,000? Does that buy anybody much college education? It most certainly does not, right? It's means tested, meaning, you make a certain amount, you can't do it. The 529 has lots of advantages. So you're going to get tested on the differences, and the differences are always in favor of the 529. I don't think so. I don't know if you can. You probably Jim Nash or Mark Esposito. I don't think you're able to access different classes at Kaplan. Where is the Form ADV? Is the solicitor disclosure reported? Well, it's not reported. It comes from the investment advisor. If I'm a solicitor for an investment advisor, I say, this is the brochure that tells you about Gamma Global Investments, the solicitor for the federally covered investment advisor, Carlyle. I am not an affiliate. My firm is not an affiliate of Carlyle. I am a third-party solicitor. I'm a promoter, my firm. And you're going to get a letter from Carlyle asking, did Dean give you the solicitor's brochure? Again, disclosing to you that I am not part of that investment advisory firm. And then I'm being compensated. So the idea here is I'm not going to say bad things about Carlyle if they're paying me to find them investment advisory clients. Yeah, well, Jose, like I say, you're gonna do well in our business, but you're an ask for the order kind of guy. You get the order if you don't ask for it, right? All right. Well, looks like we've got through everybody here. It's the end of our time together, and so it's time for our giveaway. We do a giveaway for that coaching call, and let me just bring that up. And the way the giveaway works is you put a word into the chat. Word is to be determined yet. Anybody got any good ideas for what our word that we're going to use for the drawing that we should put into the chat? Anybody got any ideas what we should put in the chat? I think last week we used autumn. It was our word. You guys are burnt out. Nobody wants to play. All right. I like it. We'll put in sunny. So sunny is the word that if you want to participate in the drawing you will put in, and let me go get the screen so you can see the drawing. And let's get rid of the banner. Get rid of that. And let's get Wendy out of the way there. Boom. And if you win, then what you need to do is send me an email claiming your victory. And you would send that email to Dean, the Series 7 Guru. All right. Anybody else want to put in there? We're at 17 entries. Anybody else? Last call. Okay. So here we go. We got 18. Jose, I hope you win. Jose deserves the win. I can't fix it. So if you win now, people are going to think I fixed it. Oh, man. Almost, Jose. Oh, man, that hurt. I thought you were going to get it. Did you guys see that? It was Jose. And then right at the last minute, it was Wendy. Oh, my God. That hurt. That hurt. I will, like I say, I will try and make sure, Jose, that we hook you up somehow, some way. All right. Anything else here before we call a night? You know the drill, Wendy. Just send me an email. And like I say, we can discuss what you're going to do. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I am going to do that. So let's see if I can do that. We have officially ended our Tuesday night live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Share with any test takers you know. And like I'll see you next Tuesday. If you want to stick around, you're welcome to do so. And now I'm going to try and go find whether Dean can bring up the Kaplan Q Bank or not. So let me just get rid of this here first. Boom, remove. There's Dean. Let me get rid of this extra camera. I don't think we need that now. And let me see if I can bring up the Kaplan Q Bank. Just give me a second. I'm backstage. I think I'm backstage. So, hopefully you're not seeing my entire screen, but it's nothing toward there anyways. So, but loading. Keep them doggies lonely, right? Rope them, brand them, tie them. Okay, so now let me go back to you guys. And share screen. That's not what I want. Stop sharing. Share screen. Okay, are you guys seeing my screen? Let me put that on a smaller screen. Is that actually showing up in the, can you see the Series 7 getting started thing or not? Yes, no? Anybody seeing that? All right, wonderful. Okay, so we'll do the Series 7 one first. So let me grab the Q Bank. And this was this is the Series 7 question, Wendy, and then we'll go to yours. 155 7877. I think that was it, right? 155. Question not found. 155 7877. So for whatever reason, that is not coming up as a valid QID. All right, let's try. It might be because it's like your master exam or something. So now let's go back, Wendy, and let's grab the 66 Q Bank and see if yours comes up. And Q Bank. And it looks like Wendy's first one was 1263504. 126 1263504. 1. Maybe I'm missing the 1 here. Let's try that. Nope, that's not coming up either. Let's try this next one. It's 66, right, Wendy? 117 9249. Oh, I'm sorry. It doesn't look like that's coming up. I don't know if we have the wrong QID numbers or what, but if you want to email me that again, there's my email address. Just tell me what the QID is in an email, and I'm more than happy to bring that up and make you a little private video and send it to you. I can see QBank questions, so I just need the QID number, but for some reason those QIDs are not coming up. Right, QID 1263504 and 1179249. That didn't come up for whatever reason. All right, so just send me, ladies, a email, and I'm more than happy to take care of it for you, and I will send that to you. All right, anything else before we go on tonight? Leah wants to try one more. Again, I have to go get the QBank again. Hold on, let me see if I can do the QBank again. Oh, okay. This is it though. Then after that, we are done. Series 7. And again, let me find you guys. Oh, what happened to you guys? There's that. Uh-oh. I, again, been struggling a little bit here. So, Leah, I will try and make you a video and do that. We do, just so you know, we also do, I'll put it out there. I do a live stream overtime session where we have a whiteboard and it's a Zoom invite. And that's a little more friendly in terms of doing what we're doing here. So I will just send me those QIDs in an email. I will take care of them. I'll either call you or send you a Zoom invite or make you a little private video and send it to you. And then on the booking page, sometimes I do office hours and live streams. You can bring questions there, and we get a whiteboard and we do it that way as well. You're welcome. Big hat, B-Man. I like that. And I've been working on wow, what a great job. That's fantastic. Boy, I get excited when people are starting out at a place in their career where there's lots of opportunity, and Spider ETFs, that's great, right? Part of State Street, I believe. So wonderful. I do offer them. I've just been really, really busy. So remember when people are willing to pay and people want free stuff, the pay stuff comes before the free stuff, right? So, you won your coaching call, Wendy, and that's free. And, that means, if somebody wants to book that and, it's a coaching call, then I'll move you around. But for the most part, I still do office hours. I still do live streams. It's just, I don't do them all the time. I put them up and then I tell you about them. And sometimes only one person shows up, and in that case, they get a free tutoring session. If, 5 or 6 people show up, what we do is we just go through the list. You can find replays of those on the channel as well, so you can kind of see what that's like. All right. Are you able to show me how to get the 65 series you mentioned? Yeah, you just go to the channel and the playlist and see if I can do that. And you'd go to just in the channel search bar, put in SIE. What is it you're asking for? 65. So YouTube channel. All right, let's try that. Let's see. I think I can do that. So here is the YouTube channel. And if you go to the YouTube channel and you go for 65, you just all the playlists. And so here's our playlists. And you'd go to the playlist and find 65. Here's the 65 playlist right here. And you hit that playlist, and all the videos that are available show up. And this playlist is pretty big. It has 71 videos in it. So lots and lots of videos for you. All right, boom. Let's see. Anything else here? You've been keeping an eye on my site? Oh, I see. I thought you were a stalker, Wendy. I go, what do you mean you're keeping an eye on my site? On the booking page? I'll tell you what, Wendy, what I'll do is if I don't put it up when we arrange your coaching call, just remind me and I'll do it then. You and I can decide when to put up an overtime session, an office hour for you and everybody else. So if it's not there, it'll be there after you and I get your coaching call done. All right. Anything else? Okay, guys. Thank you so much. I apologize not being able to get that Kaplan Q Bank and get those QIDs. But again, I'll check my email and I'm more than happy to bring those up. And who knows, it might be a problem trying to do it on the live stream versus being, on a Zoom. I don't know, but I'm certainly will help you out on those. All right. Remember, inch by inch, your Series 7 is a cinch, yard by yard, your Series 7 is hard, and I'll see you next time. Is it harder now the SIE's in the mix? No, you probably don't want to hear it, Josh, but it's easier. The 7 used to be 2-3 hours exams with 250 questions and lots more judgment questions. So now it's a little more approachable. You do the SIE and then you do your 7. All right. Bye-bye.